Who really were the gods worshipped in ancient Egypt? Were they really supernatural and immortal entities that influenced the lives of humans? In the Royal Canon or Royal Papyrus of Turin, we find a chronological list of pharaohs who reigned in the country of the Nile. But the most interesting thing is that the names of the previous rulers appear who are qualified as gods, demigods, or followers of Horus, which makes us question to what extent these beings were immaterial deities. The list of kings who ruled ancient Egypt covers a space of time of 13,900 years. Coincidentally, when the last glacial period ends, is when the government of the gods begins. The first to appear is the god Ptah, who, according to the cosmogony of Memphis, created the world with the heart and the word. He was succeeded by Ra, the sun god creator of life, and then his son Shu, the air, which separated the sky, Nut, of the earth, Geb, interposing between the two. Shu is succeeded by Geb, and then by his son, Osiris, who loses his life at the hands of his brother Seth. Then Horus, son of Osiris, who fought against Seth for the throne of Egypt. But not all those who were called gods are in this list of rulers of Egypt. According to research, there are more than 1,500 gods in the various ancient texts. Does this mean that all of them were flesh and blood? We may not have the answer, but what we do know is that not all the gods were represented with an image. Some are only known by name, because it seems that only the important deities were immortalized with their image on papyrus or carved in a temple. Recently, one of these unknown gods was discovered, who has been associated with a few images that represent him, but not because of his importance, but because it seems as if he did not want to be seen. He wanted to go unnoticed. How could one represent a god that no one has seen because he wants to remain hidden in the shadows? It is for this reason that this ancient Egyptian deity hardly appears in the drawings of the papyri or bas-reliefs of the temples. So we are dealing with an invisible god. His name is MEDJED, a minor god discovered about a decade ago, and of course it is very difficult to draw the image of a god who does not want to be seen. He is depicted in the shape of a bell, looking as if he were the lower part of a body, with legs peeking out from under the Egyptian skirt and adding eyes at the top. Interestingly, MEDJED is depicted with his eyes looking straight ahead, yet most of the gods are always seen in profile. Also, this minimalist appearance distinguishes him from other deities who wear attire, jewelry, and accessories, although MEDJED's simplicity makes him even more mysterious. In the illustration of the incantation that appears on leaf 76 of the Greenfield Papyrus, dated between 950 and 930 BC, the supposed MEDJED is hidden, totally drawn in conical form, showing only his eyes and feet. There is a simpler version of MEDJED in other papyri, in which he is also depicted with a belt tied under or above his eyes. Some experts have proposed that MEDJED's prominent eyes and legs could mean that he can see, move, and act, although humans cannot perceive him. There is no denying that his appearance is almost adorable. At first glance, he bears a strong resemblance to a Halloween ghost. The references that appear about him in the ancient sacred texts are quite contradictory, so we do not know if we are facing a benign or evil god. The first mentions of MEDJED appear in the Book of the Dead, a funerary text of ancient Egypt, where a series of magical spells intended to help the deceased to overcome the judgment of Osiris appear. He assists them in their journey through the underworld, the Duat, until they reach paradise, Aru. MEDJED is said to be a member of the house of the god Osiris, the lord of the underworld. However, the role he plays in that journey that the deceased makes through the underworld that ends with the final judgment of Anubis, weighing the heart of the deceased, is unknown. Exactly it is in spell 17 of the Book of the Dead, where it is mentioned, among other dark gods, an entity called MEDJED, which means the Punisher, and reads as follows: I know the name of that punisher among them, who belongs to the house of Osiris, who shoots with his eye, but he is invisible. He is considered the god who punishes those who commit evil deeds, including the gods. In an English translation of the Papyrus of Ani, Raymond O. Faulkner transcribes the part of the spell referring to MEDJED as follows. I know the name of that striker MEDJED among them who belongs to the house of Osiris, who shoots with his eyes, but is not seen. The sky is surrounded by the blast of fire from his mouth and happy informs, but they do not see him. We are before a god who is called the Striker, and it is detailed that he cannot be seen. Moreover, he shoots with his eyes and spews fire from his mouth. This makes one think that he is a very powerful deity, although his attire is simple. And although his intervention does not seem to benefit the deceased who enters the underworld, some believe that it is not very clear what his real function is. In this spell there is talk of different gods and their roles, but MEDJED stands out for having a unique attribute, shooting with his eyes and spewing fire from his mouth. Some interpret this as protection or guidance for those on their journey through the afterlife. Another theory was proposed by Egyptologist Hermann Grappo, who suggested that MEDJED could refer to a star, since it is mentioned that it radiates light and has a connection with the cyclical flooding of the Nile. But Ilaria Caridi points out that in the texts, the name MEDJED does not appear at any time related to a particular star. This controversy is what distinguishes him from the other gods of Egypt. While the functions of all of them are well known of the Striker, there is hardly any information that defines him. He is as enigmatic as his ghostly image. From the mythological point of view, the role of MEDJED ensures that no one interferes with Osiris in the performance of his duties. He is described as a hidden force that brings down enemies unseen, an effective guardian. We do not know if the representation of MEDJED is only a metaphorical image of a character that really existed or simply a phenomenon of nature. The only certainty is that we are facing one of the most enigmatic gods of ancient Egypt, of whom hardly anything is known, because that was precisely his function, to act without being seen.